All right, I'm on to the last speaker of today's session this morning. Next, we have Nadine Herrwerth, who is Commercial Director for TWTG. Nadine has a business degree from Warwick Business School, and she uses her international experience to drive customer success. She provides reliable solutions which are easy to implement and can create efficiencies and safety across international sites. Nadine, over to you.
Thanks for the introduction, Margaret, and good afternoon, good morning, or good night. Someone said it was almost their bedtime earlier on to everyone. So welcome to my talk on the Industrial Internet of Things. I'll talk about how IoT can be a means to maintain knowledge and to provide insight into situations that, due to restrictions, be this organizational or even structural changes, will require companies to deal with a limited or reduced workforce. This can be permanently or temporary, but IoT can help to alleviate these challenges. My name is Nadine Herrwerth. I'm the Commercial Director, as Margaret has already so kindly introduced me at TWTG, and we are the IoT experts. We're working out of Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and we're providing hardware solutions to global customers in the oil and gas, as well as the utility sectors. But I'm not really here to talk about myself or TWTG, actually. Today, I want to talk about how the world has changed in a little over a year. I want to evaluate some of the challenges that the industry is facing with regards to a reduced workforce and how digitalization can help to address and overcome these. At the end, we should have a little bit of time for questions or a brief discussion if the need arises. So it's been pretty much a year to the week, plus one or so, that the pandemic was declared in our lives from a personal individual perspective, but also business as we'd known it was turned upside down. I remember, Margaret, you will as well, the last StocExpo, which sort of was curtailed. And if we're looking and comparing those years, basically, optimism within the oil and gas industry has made way to a more subdued mood. And the oil price outlook, although somewhat recovered from last year, from 2020, will at best be 25% below the 2019 average price. But terminals are, of course, on the winning side of this economic turn. Whereas the energy transition has been the key driver for change, it is now the need for greater efficiency, and with it the drive for greater automation on top of this energy transition that has led to the vast changes of behavior, but also mass restructurings and as well as layoffs, which mean having to do the same job with less people. If we're looking around the industry, cuts in workforce of around 10% are really not uncommon. In a recent McKinsey report on how the oil and gas industry can succeed in a changed market following COVID-19, it says it very succinctly. Oil and gas companies will have to transform radically. Those that succeed will shape the industry's future. It also means that the transforming as a means for differentiation and a demonstration of future positive valuation. So this means that there's a potential race for survival of the fittest. Who can automate the fastest, who can operate with less people, and who can maintain or even improve efficiencies. We will see more changes, their goal being to achieve this very efficiency by reducing headcount, by reviewing operational expenditures and limiting capital expenditure. Working with a reduced workforce as a result, and in order to meet COVID regulations, will mean that priorities will have to re-evaluate it. Perhaps innovation projects will have to be stopped, maybe to a lack of resources, a lack of budget available, because everyone is re-evaluating where the focus needs to lie. And also, this is the new normal, which is a term that's been in everyone's mouth for a while now. And as oil and gas companies will have to tighten the belt for a number of years to come, we will all have to look at how we can sort of create and operate in this new normal. But that's only the operational challenges. If we're looking at the organizational challenges, and to sort of add insult to injury, if I want to say that, there is an additional attrition that the sector will have to deal with, which stems from the large retirement wave that is pushing ahead in the coming 10 years, but also paired with an increasing demand for educated and highly trained engineers. The people that you will want to employ to address your automation needs of the future have a variety of other job options available to them. Hence, the war for talent is on, and it is real. So we've got a number of problems that we're facing, and how can we address them? How can a site maintain the knowledge and control of thousands of assets if the people who know how to do so are leaving, or if people who are joining and are new don't have the experience? How can we make that happen? Operators need to have information at their fingertips, which can help those with lesser operational experience or limited knowledge or adjacent training. This can be achieved by implementing sensors to communicate about the status of various different assets within the site, such as valves, pumps, motors, and tanks, to just name a few. But how can this be achieved without the need for large capital investments, which we've already established are not the answer in the current climate? Well, if we're looking closely at the options for communication backhauls that are on offer, there are a few components that need to be considered in the decision-making process, such as power consumption, the ease of rollout, and we want to make sure that ideally we can do this in a running organization rather than having to go through a shutdown and hold up production, the infrastructure that is required and how easy that infrastructure can be implemented, but also battery life. But most of all, it'll be cost. So we need a solution that is versatile and that allows us to create a platform for the future. Organizations need to find the right tools for the job. It's a lot of choice, and sometimes not one tool is the right one or the best one for all cases and for all use cases. It's really that mix that allows us to address the most critical assets in one way, whilst addressing the largest section perhaps of assets with a more cost-efficient one. So that can also be a way of how to make the most of all the options available, and be considerate and look about what that coexistence and that careful choice of the tools in that coexistence can help in order to get it right. But of course, there might be concern about the readiness of LoRaWAN for this market. Gartner says LoRaWAN is on the path to mainstream in the next few years. So this already reduces the risk immensely, as LoRaWAN is no longer uncharted territory, so to say. And as a plus, a lot of key players in the market are already rolling out LoRaWAN internationally and thereby readying their sites for a high degree of automation as an answer, as a response to the reduced workforce that everyone has to deal with. And if we're looking at the impact that IoT can have across the complete industry and can contribute to making it more efficient, more automated, and therefore better able to deal with an environment where the workforce is reduced or less experienced, by providing information on how assets and their conditions and performances can be viewed. We want to be in a position where operators can be alerted when temperatures are too high or too low. You want to have a solution where information is being sent on whether to check on a valve. So you don't have to check on it just because that's what you normally do. So you check for the right reasons and at the right time. And you're also monitoring motors or pumps based on their velocity. So IoT can function as a decision-making system when less experienced people are in charge, or when a site, sorry, where do I need to move on? So IoT can function as a decision-making system when less people are available or less experienced people are in charge, and that allows us to run a safer organization. Hence, with less training, we can provide, we can install the devices. The devices take minutes rather than hours to install, again, within a running organization, which is very important. The 4S principle can be removed or changed, to say the least, allowing more people to get on with the tasks at hand, for which less people are available now already. And maintenance can be carried out on asset performance rather than static data, such as runtime. So under no circumstances should neither safety nor efficiency suffer, but IoT devices can fill in the gaps where operators' knowledge or experience might not be available, hence maintaining reliability for your organization. Thanks, Margaret.
Thanks, Nadine. Interesting presentation. Okay, let's just see if we've got any questions. So somebody asks, IoT is still in its infancy. Why should this be the next big thing in terms of safety and efficiency?
Well, if we're looking at that infancy, is it really? If Gartner says that LoRaWAN is becoming mainstream in the coming years, and if we're looking at the large players in the market, Total, Shell, Chevron, they are rolling out LoRaWAN internationally. So that is really a proof of trust. That's a proof that is the right way forward. It is not just a small IoT company from Rotterdam saying that this is the right approach. Without us, the market can absolutely survive, but the decision makers in the market have that trust. The consultants in the market have the knowledge and provide us that this is the path for the future. So I'm not sure infancy is the right term.
Fair enough. And a question just for me, really. Do you believe the industry is ready to trust sensors for decision making?
Well, I think sensors as such are not necessarily new. LoRaWAN can be considered a little bit more new, but I think in that drive, like I just mentioned, that drive for more automation, however, really being very careful in how budget is invested. So we don't have, because capital expenditure needs to be drawn down. That's a perfect mix to find a solution that is maybe not necessarily wireless hard, that is one that runs on a bit more cost-efficient approach and allows large amounts of sensors, up to, in some cases, even 10,000 sensors to be connected to a gateway. So the infrastructure that is required is relatively slim. The integration is relatively easy. And also, if you buy sensors that are talking LoRaWAN, then loads of different third-party sensors can be connected to the same LoRaWAN infrastructure. And that provides the customer with a lot of choice. So there's less of a lock-in than they are used to from how the market has been operating in the past. Okay,
thank you. Veruta asks, in many of our systems, sensors will have a role to play in the safety state. E.g., if a valve is open or closed, I should have the current status. Can this be resolved without impacting battery life significantly?
It can. So that's where we're actually quite proud in the way that we've developed our solution. So our sensors have a lifetime or battery lifetime between 5 and 10 years. So really that allows us to have that consistency. The customer doesn't have to go in and regularly replace as you would do if you're running it on a different backbone. So LoRa allows us to create that longevity in the devices and in the battery lifetime.
Okay, thank you. That's all we've got time